Sure, it's William G. George Fig, F-I-G. WILLIAM GEORGEFIG.
Are you appearing under subpoena?
Yes, I am.
Are you a lawyer?
Yes, I am.
Where do you practice?
Sussman Shank, LLP.
Did you represent Daniel Butler and Sutton?
Yes.
Was Mr. Sutton occupying some real property that Mr. Butler foreclosed on?
Yes, I represented Mr. Butler in an FED action related to the property.
So was that an effort to remove Mr. Sutton from possession of the property?
Correct.
Were you successful?
Yes.
Did Mr. Weidner make a courtroom presentation during that FED case?
Yes.
If you look in that exhibit binder, it is identified as Exhibit 4 within Exhibit 6. You'll see a transcript. Does that transcript reflect one of the appearances by Mr. Weidner that you had to deal with?
I show Exhibit 4. There's a 4. It starts with 4B. That's what I'm looking at.
And I'm Matt Brooks.
Yeah, I think it's the first Exhibit 6 is the declaration of Mr. Rubin,
Right.
which in turn have attached exhibits. Maybe back to the wrong Exhibit 6.
You were looking at what I tried to describe, which is Exhibit 4B within Exhibit 6. Does the board have that?
Thanks. Oh, I see what you say. Yes, Exhibit page 4B.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer. Is that a transcript of a hearing that you and Mr. Weidner both appeared at?
Yes, it is.
What was your hourly billing rate at the time of that hearing?
Oh, wow. It was between $225 and $250.
Was that a reasonable billing rate for a lawyer of your experience?
I believe so. I've been practicing 14 years.
Do you have an estimate of the amount of legal fees that were incurred by your client, Mr. Butler, because you had to respond to the various activities of Mr. Weidner in this particular case?
I believe we did print out our billing for the Butler matter, and the parts that I was involved with, and I was not involved in all aspects of representation of Mr. Butler regarding Mr. Sutton. The FED, up through the FED, I think we estimated was around $4,000.
And is that the total amount or the amount that you estimate was attributable to responding to things that Mr. Weidner did?
That was the amount estimated responding to what we had estimated was extra work necessitated by Mr. Weidner.
Did part of that work include having to monitor the docket for filings out of concerns that either Mr. Weidner had served you with things that weren't filed with the court or filed things with the court that were not served on you?
It did involve monitoring the docket. I was not involved in that particular part of the case.
Was that dissimilar?
It was, and I guess by way of brief explanation, after the FED concluded, there was also a elder abuse civil case also filed in Multnomah County. And after the FED concluded, the elder abuse case continued on for some period of time. And after the FED restitution was entered, my involvement pretty much ceased regarding representing Mr. Butler.
I'll ask her about that. I have no further questions on the record.
Cross again?
You've been practicing for 14 years?
Yes, I passed the bar in '95.
Okay. Did you have a chance to interact with Mr. Sutton on any occasion?
Very briefly, at times when he would come in and serve me with different pleadings involving different cases, but at no point, I don't think that I ever held a more than 3 sentence, "How you doing? Fine, thank you."
So were you aware that he has been diagnosed as clinically mentally impaired?
Objection, irrelevant.
Are you aware that he's certified for A.D.A? And I want to put this all under an offer of proof, Judge. Were you aware that he was A.D.A certified, that he was a member of A.D.A, Americans with Disability?
Your Honor, could we have the offer of proof at a later time?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we will put it on. I want to
Well,
reserve that.
Mr. Weidner, I'm not going to let you abuse this process, as you have abused so many processes in this court and other courts, and subject even more people to a further waste of time in about irrelevant matters. About irrelevant matters. The name of an offer of proof about irrelevant matters. If there are additional matters, if you want to, I think we could stipulate you have filed numerous documents about the representations that, your representations of the nature of these events, of Mr. Sutton's injuries. But what Mr. Figg may or may not have known about Mr. Sutton's mental abilities or lack of mental abilities is not relevant to this proceeding.
I want to take strong exception with that characterization.
So you know it's not true because of why?
I know it's not true because I verbally spoke to him about Tom's disabilities. We had an A.D. officer who spoke to him about Tom's disabilities before the first hearing for the Butler case ever began. It's not true because I verbally spoke to him about Tom's disabilities. We had an A.D. officer who spoke to him about Tom's disabilities.
I know you do, Mr. Weidner.
And I am taking strong exception with it. Mr. Figg is a licensed attorney. He's licensed by the Oregon State Bar, and he's licensed in order to protect the public. And he has come after Mr. Sutton for applying, and I'm entitled to know if he's aware of his mental state of his mental
Mr. Figg's
condition.
mental state has absolutely nothing to do with any matter before
It
this
has
court.
everything to do with it.
It has nothing to
It
do
has
with it.
everything to do with
Mr.
it.
Weidner, that's my decision to make,
Look, that
not
is-
yours.
You said previously, Judge, and I'm holding you to this, that you are a neutral in this. This is an adversary system. I want to make this very clear.
It
This
is a
is an
neutral-
adversary system.
adversary
Plaintiff,
system.
defendant, neutral judge. Neutral judge.
Constitutional due process.
Neutral
Absolutely.
judge.
Absolutely,
Neutral.
Mr. Weidner.
In an
Neutral does not mean you
This is
win
a
every
witness called
time.
against me. This is a member of the Oregon State Bar that has been called by the plaintiff, who has been prosecuting me for 20 years, and you say my conduct is I'm going to show that this is an entire criminal racketeering activity that's being undertaken by the bar. I'll ask for the moment, Mr. Figg, were you aware of the underlying business transaction that you were foreclosing on Mr. Sutton?